All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
Had to say that. As you know, welcome to another episode of Real Talk, where we will not be cursing anymore. We are now filtered. And so if I can't say it, I'm going to show it. That's for Mike Hughes. That's my dedication to Mike Hughes. And yeah, so anyway, hey, listen, we are checking our feelings at the door, and we're going to keep it real. So let's go ahead and get this bad boy started. Say what's up to the people, Ray.
Everybody, what's going on?
All right, Mr. Kenny, say what's up to the people, man.
What up? Had an interesting day in sports, so ready to talk about it. Let's get to it.
Absolutely. So we're going to go ahead and kick it off with our NFL hot takes. And my hot take is, given the current state of Omicron, Delta variant, and everything else that's out there in the world that's related to COVID, I project this is going to be a very, very watered down playoffs, given the current status at the rate in which it is infecting all the top players. As you've seen, Tony Lockett's out, Gaskins out from Miami. I think there's quite a few other ones that are out. So it's definitely hitting. It's hitting home. I'm telling you, man. Hey, it's not looking good. Everything's getting shut down due to this COVID craziness. Ray, what's your hot take?
I hope we get through the year in all sports. It's kind of crazy, this crazy uptick we've had. But my hot take is that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New England Patriots will play in SoFi Stadium this year in this year's Super Bowl.
Ooh, you know what? And that is very, very likely. I tell you, that's very likely. I really think, given to that point, this game, coming up between the Colts and the Patriots is going to be a testament to see how well the Patriots can block the run, or how well they can defend against the run. Because you have arguably the best runner in all of football right now going up against them this week, and they also have a passing game. So if the Patriots play the Colts extremely well and defend against that run, then it does catapult them, I think, higher in the top five, and it could possibly put them with Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Kenny, what's your hot take?
My hot take is a little lead into our next topic. My man, his name just escaped me just that quick. What's the Jags? Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer just pulled the biggest money heist in the history of NFL coaching.
Yes, he did.
So, if you're a fan of Netflix and you watch the show Money Heist or any type of bank robberies or Ocean's 11, that type of situation, this is what Urban Meyer did to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He basically torpedoed his way out of town and took that $25 million and had no intentions of being there long term.
So, absolutely, and that is a good segue. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Jay. Ray. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, but from what I hear is because of the assault on the kicker, they're trying to get him fired for cause, which would get them out of having to pay him the rest of that money. So I think they're going to try and fight paying him that money because of his almost conduct detrimental as the reason for his firing.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, then his whole plan would have backfired.
Absolutely. And so obviously we're segueing now into the Urban Meyer issue. As y'all know, Urban Meyer has been fired. It happened last night. It's been a topic for several podcasts now, and it just gets hotter and hotter. And I tell you, man, listen, you got to be the dumbest person in the world to do half the crap in which Urban Meyer has done. I mean, honestly, you done got physical with your team. You done got emotional with your team. You done did you done tried to hire all kinds of crazy people that have no business being in the league. I mean, what more can a person possibly do to screw up a situation? If it can be done, Urban has damn near done it. Lap dances out there in Cincinnati. I mean, if it can be done, Urban's done it. I mean, he's pushed every boundary you can push. And yet, and I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, if I was that kicker, I got one or two choices. I'm either A, fighting, or B, filing charges against him. Well, and then I'm gonna file a lawsuit against him.
He knew what he was doing. Like he knew to try. He wasn't doing that to no linebacker, no defensive lineman, no offensive lineman. Because he tried that with them. They were picking him up off the ground. So he knew whose buttons to push with that.
So that's the thing. Like I think the last show we talked about Urban. I was like, I put a lot of the onus on the players to play better. However, given the reports that we got out here, like him at the club or the bar, it's a bad look, but I'm not going to lie to myself and think that these are ethical people that are super rich, flying around.
What you do on your personal time, that's your business.
Right. So I was good with that. Telling his coaching staff, y'all trash. I'm a national champion. All right, I can kind of get with that, even though you did hire him, regardless of how you hired him. You hired him. But when you start, and this is what it is, when you assault another man that's on your team because he's not performing, and then he says, hey, don't do that again, and you double down and say, I absolutely can and I will, like at that point, you can't do that. And the kicker is it Lambo? I think it was Lambo, right?
Josh Lambo, yeah.
Like he's not just some rookie nobody. Like he's been around. Like he's in essence a veteran in the league. So you're new to the situation. He's been through all the Jacksonville drama, and you're gonna come in and do that to him and disrespect him, like. And then even Trevor Lawrence has been coming out saying like he wanted James Washington to play
Robinson.
more. James Robinson to play more. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So like when you got your rookie star quarterback coming out saying we're game planning wrong, we're not playing the right people, like it was just a disaster. And I think it'll be a legal battle. We haven't heard much from John Gruden because I know he was suing too. But these coaches, there's repercussions for your actions. And so as great as, and we're not necessarily have a topic about it, as great as what Dion did, Urban did the exact opposite in an awful way. So it's just crazy.
And we're going to get into what the Jags are going to do next here in a minute. But let's talk about what's next for Urban. Where does he go? Where does he go from here?
I think, honestly, it's going to be the same old script for Urban. He's going to go back to TV for a couple of years. Take a break, take a pause, and then some college will take a chance on him because he's had so much success on the college level. He's won a national championship at 2 schools. So one of these schools is going to be desperate enough to take a chance on him. I mean, look at how many lives Bobby Petrino had. Look how many lives the guy that's at Ole Miss now.
Lane Kiffin. Is that Lane Kiffin?
Lane Kiffin, yeah. Lane Kiffin has had, like, these guys get multiple lives and multiple opportunities. So I don't think that I just think he's going to have he'll never have another chance on the NFL. I will say that. He'll never get another chance on the NFL. That'll never happen. But he'll get another chance on the college level. And I just want to add one other thing to it. I read something Jamel Hill tweeted that he said to his coaches in a coaches meeting, he said, I had better coaches at Bowling Green. Like, that is like the ultimate. That's the ultimate disrespect. Like, these guys, this not high school, this not college. These are NFL coaches. Guys got resumes, and you going in and I mean, if this is true, like, I can see why these it was 2. I know it's 2 of them that took college jobs. Like this, got on the first thing smoking and get up out of there. So it's just a comedy of errors, and just like he can, if there's a manual on how not to do your job as an NFL coach, he just wrote it. It's just
right.
Crazy.
I mean, what do you think, Ray? Well, where does Urban go from here?
So I think that's the thing. We live in a way more sensitive society. We live in a much more social media driven society. And now going back to college, we live in an NIL society. So I think that when you're recruiting some of these top athletes, they're not professionals, but they're starting to get paid. So I think the way in which you talk to them and the way in which you handle them is different from when he was previously coaching. I don't think he can go to TV right now. I think Fox and others, they got a lot to swallow right now. I think he needs to take the rest of the year off. Maybe even next year he might do something local. But I definitely think he'll coach again. His resume as a coach, especially in colleges, is too great. It's arguably top 10 all time as a college football coach. Those guys get jobs until they don't want jobs anymore. So I think he'll show up somewhere. I wouldn't touch the SEC, but there will be a job. He'll go start. He'll do well. He'll, filter that group out. And I think if you can keep filtering groups out, I think that is beneficial for his style of coaching. But I do think we got a picture of what it's like to be under him. And if I'm a mom or a dad and he comes to recruit my kid, I'm going to have more questions. I don't think he would have had.
And that's kind of where I was going with that. So the comment down there says, he says 100% Urban did everything just to get out of job. No, I don't think so, because he was doing that right from the very beginning. If it was at the very end of that, then you could maybe make a pause for that. But he's been doing it right from the very beginning.
This happened and what we're talking about, the Lambeau situation, that happened in the preseason.
Yeah,
so it just got to the point
at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it just got to the point where Shad Khan, he just couldn't take it anymore. Like I think he was trying to raise point. When we talked about this on Monday, I said he wasn't long for Jacksonville. I didn't think it would happen this fast, but I think Shad Khan just basically he got to the point where he just got fed up and he couldn't. This was the the straw that broke the camel back. Who knows what else may come out? It's got to be other things that.
It's Shad Khan. This was Shad Khan's guy. He was pining for this guy. He
said, he said, I got it right this time. Right. So, you know what I mean? He put his reputation and his name on the line. So he was trying to see if he could see this through. So I just think he's going to do, the whole PR thing. He's going to go on the apology tour. He's gonna now it might take him a couple of years. He may sit back and he'll go talk to other coaches. He'll say, we'll see him popping up on campuses so he could study and see, what the situation is and learn, learn the error of his ways and change his ways and kind of see different approaches. Shucks, he may wind up at Alabama with Nick Saban. That seems like that's the place where coaches go to rehab their image, or you know what I'm saying, with the Sarkisians and the Lane Kiffins of the world. So he'll I don't think that it's going to like Ray said, because his resume is so deep and it's so great on the college level, someone's going to take a chance on him.
But you know what I know? One thing, Kenny, is that good news dies off quick. Bad stuff tends to linger around a really long time.
100%.
I still remember back to when Joe Paterno was at Penn State and that whole Penn State debacle. And that's been a long time. So I don't think that, look, and in today's day and age of social media and all the different platforms that this thing is broadcasted on, to what Ray said, man, it's going to be very hard for him to go into somebody's living room and speak to them, given his reputation now for what it is. So how many parents are going to want their kids around that? So I don't know, man. I mean, and even now, a lot of universities are really becoming harsher on those types of aspects and who they bring in and who they don't bring, regardless of however well extensive your resume may be. If your reputation is as such, that could override that winning reputation. I don't know. I think if he does get it, like you said, it's going to have to be a while. It's going to have to lay low, maybe get him a PR guy, and then he's going to have to really beg and plead his case to any one of these universities that are going to take a flyer on him, and it's going to be a long shot.
I got a name for you, and now it's a different sport, but he kind of has a similar background and kind of similar issues. Rick Pitino.
Yeah,
he's back. He's now he's coach. He's not at a major school. He's at Iona, which is a mid-major. So that may be the route that Urban Meyer has to take, is kind of go to a mid-major, go to a FBS school and, rebuild the program there.
I don't think
before
his
he gets
ego.
before he gets one of the bigger jobs. But on the other part to that is, will his ego,
right?
Which is what Ray was getting ready to talk about. And I agree with that. Yeah. He got to swallow a lot.
Yeah, I would say based on what we've seen, and I think to your point, Kenny, there's going to be a whole lot more that comes out. As more comes out, I don't think his mentality.
Well, for every one cockroach you find, there's a million more hiding.
There you go. So I think it'll be interesting to see what more comes out. But FBS, I think that will be a crazy fall from grace. Financially, I think he's set. I don't think he loves coaching that much to want to go back and rebuild from there. I think he enjoys coaching because of what it offers. But he's walked away from coaching before for health issues. I don't think he's about to put his health on the line for some FCS job or some non-Power 5 school. I
just think you had it right the first time, Ray. I think his ego is not going to allow him to eat a massive amount of humble pie. I don't think it's going to happen like that.
Especially if he's still getting paid by Jacksonville.
Exactly. That'll be the biggest factor. If somehow they're able to recoup this money or not have to pay him, then maybe. But like you guys said, he has made a ton of money over his career, so I would be surprised if money is an issue.
All right, so that's Urban Meyer. What's up? What's next for the Jags? Where do the Jags go from here, Ray? I'll let you lead it off.
I don't know. I think they're worse off right now than they were to start this year. I don't know what hot coaching candidate's going to want to go to that situation. I think to a certain extent, and it'll be curious to see, I think Trevor Lawrence might have gotten exposed as maybe not that guy. I think his stock is definitely down. They traded everybody away that really was top-tier talent. They'll have a top draft pick, but they're not going to draft the quarterback. I don't think they have an identity on that offense. That defense is decent. I think it's going to be a long road. They're in a division that's not great. So if they get one or two pieces of somebody else, it is Jacksonville, it is Florida. There's no state income tax, but they were already struggle to get fans to come out. Like, I think Jacksonville, they had potentially Tebow who would sell tickets. And then when that didn't work, they had Urban and Trevor Lawrence to sell tickets. And all of those guys are down. So I honestly, I don't know. I think they got a long way to go. I will be very curious to see who they can get to come there. It's a pro job, but it's a bad pro job.
Yeah,
so,
it is.
Like, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars are about 2 steps above the Detroit Lions and the Jets. I think they're probably
at least
right
those
above
are
those
storied franchises. Like the Jets have history, the Lions have history.
Yeah, history of losing.
But there's the Lions. They play on Thanksgiving. Like there's still a.
No, I get it.
I mean, there's a little cachet. There's a little cachet with those two franchises.
There's nothing. Jacksonville's. What is the best play they've ever had? What, Mark Brunell? Like that's.
That's actually where I would go.
Yeah, JD, baby.
I was just about to say that's where I would go if I'm Jacksonville. I'm calling Tampa Bay and I'm getting Byron Leftwich on the phone. I think,
I think if you are,
you're leaving Tom Brady to go there.
Well, he has history there. He was a quarterback.
That's true. That's true.
So, I think to kind of because guys, I live in Jacksonville, so I kind of what you guys are talking about is totally valid. Like the people don't come out they don't come out like that. Well, one reason because it's super hot.
Yeah,
in the beginning of the season, like those games in September are brutal. But so who's going out there to bake in the sun to watch a losing team? So that's part of the problem. But if you get a winner, because I'm gonna tell you this, and you guys know this, Florida is football country. Like when it comes time for that, that Florida Georgia game, like that shuts the whole city down. That stadium is packed every year without fail. So if you get a winner here, you can get the fans, but I think in order for them to to me the best candidate would be Byron Leftwich, because he brings you that history. He was part of the franchise. He's part of a winning time that they had in the franchise during his time as quarterback there. He has some cachet as being has a Super Bowl ring as an offensive coordinator. He's working with the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that would be the best thing. That's the best thing in terms of goodwill. That will kind of maybe get the fan base reignited, because like right now the fan base is just at an all-time low. The morale is at an all-time low now.
Oh, absolutely.
So you got to do something to that's going to kind of try to stir up the fan base, because like I said, they'll come, but it's just nothing to watch.
But
I feel bad for guys
I think if you are a guy like,
they go out there and just salute to Ray Cruz, our
right.
brother. He goes out there every home game. He has season tickets, and God bless him, man. I just wouldn't. It's just like throwing your money in the trash to me. I couldn't do it.
Right, and I think if you are a candidate like a Byron Leftwich or maybe a Bieniemy or whoever else, I think if I'm going to talk to Jacksonville, I'm going there with a list of questions that I want answers to. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like what's your standard operating procedures? What's your philosophies? Where do you see this place going? How much control can I have? I mean, you better have a list of questions to figure out before you take that job.
Yeah, you gotta have the GM in the interview, the owner in the interview, and we gotta have a conversation.
Oh yeah.
What is the plan for the next 5 years? What is our 5-year plan? How are we going to build this team?
They're clearly in rebuild mode. They've been in rebuild.
No, clearly. You think you have the franchise quarterback?
So how do you plan to rebuild? What's your rebuild?
Do you think you have a solid running back tandem? You lost Etienne before the season started. I think they were their plan was to put him with Robinson together in the backfield. You don't have a number one receiver. They did lose DJ Chark, who put up some decent numbers. So he's probably like more of a 2. So if they could get a number 1 in the draft, get DJ Chark back, get Etienne back, maybe all of those things fall into place, then maybe they can do something. But to Ray's point, the situation, they're in the AFC South, so it's probably the best place to be to do a quick rebuild. But you got to have whoever that is, you got to have patience, because that's the only way that they're going to be able to do this. They have to have a plan to sustain, to build a culture. Like, you got to be able to build a culture to be able to win. Because another thing Ray said is a huge point. There's no state tax in the state of Florida. It's great weather during football season, so you don't have to worry about dealing with the elements until you go on the road. So you got all of these things, and Jacksonville is a great city. So you got all of these things that it could potentially be a destination for people to come to, but you got to build the organization the right way. And if they don't do that, then they'll never, it's just going to be the same thing over and over again.
And I think if I am Jacksonville, I think to what's his name's point, I forget who was talking about earlier, but to their point, I think you bring in an advisor. You bring somebody in to help you advise, and have somebody come in that can actually do a reevaluation from your GM all the way down to make sure you had the right GM in place. And if I'm Shad Khan, I'm not picking my damn head coach no more. I'm going to let my GM I'm going to someone that actually knows the game of football pick this damn thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to let them pick it. But I want to make sure before I let my GM do all this work, I got to make sure I got the right GM in place to make these decisions. So I would bring in a Tom. I don't know if you go with Tom Coughlin or if you go in for Tony.
They tried that already. That failed.
But you bring somebody in who has incredible football intelligence, maybe somebody who's won a Super Bowl and knows what a winning culture looks like, you bring them in and give you an honest, and you have them be, matter of fact, have them be a part of your GM search, or have them reevaluate the GM you currently have. And I think you just start from the top and you start rebuilding all the way down, because if you don't have a good GM, putting the right coach in place, and then the right coach putting the right players in place, I mean, it all starts from the top and works its way down. But you got to make sure you got the right guy at the GM spot.
Yeah, maybe you bring in a guy like Bill Parcells, as a consultant, that type of guy. Somebody, you got to have somebody that has like serious cachet. Somebody, and they, like I said, they tried it with Tom Coughlin, but he was still setting his ways of the old guard. So that was a disaster. So you got to bring somebody in that's going to, that has the cachet, that's going to command attention, that has the respect. That's earned the respect in terms of his resume, that's going to get their attention. They'll listen to his recommendations because, like you said, with Shad Khan, like you have to.
I think Tony Dungy would be good for that, though. I think Tony Dungy knows what it takes to win.
Oh, that's another great one, Tony Dungy. Like somebody like that, you got to have somebody that.
Oh, you know who else would be good though too? Hey, Dick Vermeil. Caliber. I think Dick Vermeil would be a good one. Dick Vermeil's been around a lot of franchises that has won champion. He got one. He got a ring. Hey, everybody's from Philadelphia. He got a ring out there with the Eagles, and he got a ring with the Rams.
With the Rams. He didn't win the Eagles. He went to the Super Bowl with the Eagles, but he won with the Rams. But to the point, though, he's another one. Those are all three good guys.
Those guys, but I'm saying, they know what winning looks like, what winning cultures look like.
Yeah.
But I think the problem that those people run into is it's just a different day. Do you think Dick Vermeil is going to resonate with either the fan base, with the players, like Jerry West?
He don't got to resonate with the fan base. He just has to be able to evaluate talent.
But
he just has to be able to evaluate talent.
I think that's the thing. The NFL that they played in is similar to like the NBA's advancing. Like, I think it's possible, but I think the same thing with Urban, bringing back Tony Dungy, those guys. I think it's iffy that Tony's more so because he's on TV. I think he's watching it. He's more involved in it. But I some of those other names that have been removed from football for a long time, I think it's a very, very different game. And I think teams are built very differently. I did want to ask Kenny, how are the? I know I'm on social media, but what led to the midnight firing? Because like it was a really odd time to do that. Like, what was that about? Have they talked about that down there at all?
I haven't. I was working today, so I didn't really get a chance to listen to sports radio, so I don't know. But it seemed like that's why I said there's got to be more coming. But because for this to happen, basically from something I read that this happened around midnight. Like for this to happen at that time, there had to be something that he found out. It was just like, oh, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. So that's what I'm thinking, is that it had to be something, some type of news or some type of information that he got that he had no choice but to get rid of. No, I don't know about Jim Harbaugh. I think that could be the same situation that you're just recycling it. You're just redoing the same thing. Now the only difference is Harbaugh was actually coached on the NFL level, so I don't think he would have.
He had pretty decent success with San Francisco.
Exactly. So I don't think he would have that same issue like Urban Meyer. But to me, like I would not go back to that. Well, I guess he's a little different because he coached in the NFL. But I don't know. Because he's in college now, I guess that kind of would be a red flag for me.
I think he could definitely coach in the NFL. I think now's not the time to leave Michigan, though. Like, he's finally hit kind of the pinnacle. And if they can go on any kind of run in this playoff, that's definitely not the time to leave. But I believe he would be a top 10 coach. I don't believe he left because he couldn't coach. I think there was a lot of politics involved that kind of led him, and he got the dream job, so to speak. But no, I think Harbaugh would be I take Harbaugh in Washington if we could get him. But
hey, let's not go there, okay? Let's not go. Ain't nobody gonna want to go to Washington. That's like going to the Jets. Nobody wants to go to Washington.
Hey, wait a minute.
No. You got high taxes out there.
No,
representation. Ain't nobody want to go to the damn Washington.
Paradise.
Who is this guy?
You ready to get rid of Riverboat Ryan? What are we talking about, right?
Hey, nobody needs to go out there to Washington. You just let Ron Rivera keep running the show.
If Harbaugh became available, listen, you take that call. That's all.
Listen, nobody want to get on that damn green train in Washington at 10 o'clock at night and pray to God they don't get mugged, okay? Nobody want to go to no damn Washington.
I was just talking to somebody that got robbed in North Carolina. So people getting
that's a fact. It's bad neighborhoods in it's a hood in every city.
Hey, listen, you talk to somebody that lived. Hey, listen, you talk about somebody who lived in Southeast Anacostia. Okay, listen, I lived there for a hot minute. I know what it means to duck and cover. Okay, I know what duck and cover means.
I hear you. The football stadium ain't nowhere near there, but the baseball and soccer, be careful.
Hey, listen, for those out there in Washington, 1526 Howard Road was no joke. We threw down out that way, okay? But anyway, we're gonna move on for a minute. We're gonna move on. What about this COVID? Listen, COVID and will COVID decide playoff teams? I'll tell you one thing COVID is doing is tearing up my fantasy league. COVID is tearing up my fantasy league, okay? They're tearing it up. So if they're tearing up my fantasy league, I can only imagine what it must mean for the real life playoffs. I mean, you look everywhere you look, key players are going down, and it's amazing how they're going down at strategic times. Like they weren't just going down, I mean, I understand you got the Omicron variant, and I guess the Omicron variant is it's like the silent death killer because it's just out there taking everything out. What do you think, Ray? What do you think about this COVID in the playoffs? Are we going to have a watered down, scrubbed out playoffs, or are we actually going to see some good playoff teams?
Man, I don't know, and it's too late to try a bubble idea, but it's bad. To your point, I am scrambling in fantasy right now, trying to replace people because it's like every day it's not just one or two people every day. It's 4 or 5 6 people on one team in a single day. I don't know. I know that it looks like for the Browns, Case Keenum tested positive. So they were going to have him replace Baker. And I guess Baker came out because I don't have enough to speak intelligently enough about it. But I think they're changing the protocol to let players come back faster.
Rushing them. They said, hell with the 24 hours. Hell with the damn 2 COVID tests. Just give me one. Just give me one.
So that to me is very problematic from a lot of different reasons. But no, I definitely think it's going to play a role. And part of the reason my hot take was the Patriots and the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl is because I believe Tom Brady's going to get in the ear of his people, especially after the Antonio Brown situation, and say, sit your butts at home. And we already know what Bill Belichick represents. So I think those are probably one of the 2 least likely teams to get COVID racked because I think the leadership there is one in which we got a goal. I'm Tom Brady. I only got maybe 2 to 3 more years. Don't screw this up. Suck it up, deal with it for the next 2 to 3 months, and then you can go do whatever you got to do. But I 100% think it's going to have an impact, and I just hope Mahomes, Rodgers, Brady, somebody like that doesn't get it in a playoff game. God forbid Parsons or Dak or somebody like that in a playoff game because that changes everything.
Yeah, it does. It changes the whole landscape. A whole landscape. What do you think, Kenny? What do you think about this COVID and the playoffs?
Oh, man, I don't know, man. I was thinking about this today, and I don't, do we go back to no fans in the stadiums? Do we go to limited capacity? With this new variant, I don't know if we're going to be able to, how far this thing is going to go and how we're going to get these games in. It's going
where are they even catching the COVID at? Are they catching it at the games? I mean, will that even help? Because
who knows? That's what I'm saying.
You don't even know. I mean, they could be getting that crap at home out in their neighborhoods.
It's so much unknown, man. So I don't know, like what, and that's my whole point is that it's getting people, it's very, and it's coming, almost like Fast and Furious. And from my understanding, the vaccination levels of the NFL is at like 99% or something like that.
Right.
So the vaccination, it's not slowing this thing. It seems like it's not slowing it down at all. So I don't know what the answer is. I don't know, what, but I will say this. We're going to have a Super Bowl one way or the other. Like they're going to, they're not going to forgo all of that money. They're going to figure out a way to. That's why, we heard about these new protocols and it may be relaxed protocols. And I saw Baker Mayfield tweeting, he was upset about it. Like, you guys are changing this on the fly. You guys are not, the NFL has no concern about play safety and, this, that, and the third. So it's going to get done one way or the other because, the almighty dollar is
a powerful thing.
You know what I'm saying? Like my man Joe Pesci said in Casino, you want the answer? Follow the money. Oh,
absolutely. I totally agree with it. And I just hate it, man. I hate seeing watered down playoffs, and I don't because then it's going to have a lot of asterisks next to it. Everybody's like, well, last year's Super Bowl didn't really matter. It was just it was all COVID ridden, so nobody's really going to care, and the validity of it is just going to go away. So I think it's just a whole bunch of hogwash. By the way, a quick update: Chargers are beating the Chiefs at the moment, 14-10. Wow.
And Ray, our guy Ray Cruz chimed in. He said that the midnight firing of Urban King. Oh, you got it, yeah. So, but my only question about that though is they knew that. Yeah. So
yeah,
I don't understand. Yeah,
but I think that goes to the point we were sharing with Khan, and I think even with the Raiders, once the public knew, then you got to do something. Because it's just a culmination of so many different things. But I think he believed in him. And let's not act like these owners are high moral characters based on some of the things we've seen.
Exactly.
But
he had all that money invested in them.
Right. These conversations were happening. I bet you these conversations were happening earlier in the day. It's just it took them a while to just really get to the point where like, damn, we really don't have any other choice. We really are going to have to do this. I think they just struggled with the process, and I just think at some point Shad finally called it and said, "No, we're going to have to do it." And so I'm pretty sure these talks have been going on. And like you said, I think to Kenny's point, I think there's more out that they know about that we're just finding. And then, it's always going to come out. There's going to be a whistleblower at some point. They're not going to,
especially now if these reports are true that they're trying to not pay him his full contract, then all that stuff is going to come out, for them to build their case as to why they shouldn't have to pay him.
You're right. That's a good point. But I do also think these new protocols, I'll be curious if they last, because when you got the one of the faces of the NFL, mainly because of all those progressive commercials coming out like he did, you get enough people to apply enough pressure. I don't know how that flies. If you get a congressman or two condemning the NFL for these new changes, like they're going to have to back off of it. And it just sucks that we live in this kind of world where I don't think anybody knows how to fix it. Like we've tried all these different things. We've tried lockdowns, we've tried mandates, we've tried vaccines, and nothing's working. And for whatever reason, it's getting worse. Like I've never seen sports across the board get hit like we've been hit in the last 2 to 3 days, maybe even the last week. And so I don't know if this is a blip that's just something that's an anomaly, or they say that the new variant is it's not as deadly, but it's more contagious. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's more so like this becomes reality, but as long as you don't show any symptoms, as long as there's no negative impact, you can just play. And we just got to deal with people going to be infected and play. Right. Like I don't know what the solution is, but I'm really not trying to see no playoffs with 11 starters missing like Cleveland got. Like that's crazy.
All right, hey, we're gonna make a segue over real quick over to the NBA now and get some hot takes on the NBA. My hot take is Kevin Durant, 7 people out for COVID. He's got 4 rookies, gets a triple-double, plays 48 minutes. Kind of not even on the full healthy side, but plays anyway. Puts the team on his back, shows what he's made of. If that's not making a viable play for MVP, right behind, or at least coming close to getting where Steph Curry is for the MVP, I don't know what else you need. I mean, the guy is literally at the top right now, fighting for the New York or the Brooklyn Nets by him damn self. I mean, he's got Patty Mills, but I mean, come on. And I will put it right there now. I don't think Bron could even do half as good a job with the Nets as what KD's doing. I don't think he could, and that's why I say at this point I'm starting to lean more that KD is better than Bron. I just feel that way. I feel like when KD needs to, when you need somebody to be there and be a warrior, be a fighter from the moment the game starts all the way to the end, KD's your guy. I think I've seen Bron quit too many times, and I hate to say it, but Freddie, I'm gonna tell you, man, when against the Phoenix Suns, he quit. He quit.
Boy, you trying to get a guest appearance. You trying to get a guest appearance.
Listen, Freddie. If you come on the show, that's what I gotta say. I can't say it, but I'm gonna show it, Freddie. I don't give a damn. And I said dang, by the way, for FCC reasons, I said dang. But yeah, look, the guy took. These guys. I mean, you can't deplete the Nets any more than that. And if they still come out with the win, do you think? I just don't think that Bron. I just don't think so. I haven't seen that from Bron. I haven't seen a competitive fire enough from him. What do you think, Ray? What's your opinion? Or what's your hot take? I'm sorry. What's your hot take?
So I'm glad you went the KD route. My hot take: Kevin Durant. He might be the best player on the world, or whatever you were saying. But Kevin Durant is the most sensitive superstar athlete I have ever seen in my entire life. Like I saw recently where Skip Bayless went out of his way to give him a compliment, as he always does. And you diss the man that's giving you big up, saying you're the best player in the world.
I don't like you.
Like, what are we doing? The same guy that told all the reporters that voted him MVP, they don't know basketball. Like, the burner accounts, all of it. I cannot understand for the life of me how someone that is that great, is that emotional and that sensitive. Like, it's just perplexing to me. And I don't get it. I don't understand it. It works for him. But, man, it is so annoying to see an athlete that emotional all the time.
Okay, Kenny. That was saucy, by the way, Ray. A little sauciness there with that. What you got, Kenny?
Yeah, I don't really have a hot take per se. I just want to shout out Isaiah Thomas. We saw what he went through with the hip injury, and and he's kind of bounced around and been out of the league. And I just want to shout him out for his perseverance and for his fortitude. The dude put up a 40-piece in the G League last night, and I just saw reports that the Lakers are going to sign him to a 10-day contract. Now, that Russell Westbrook is out for COVID. They apparently going to be able to get an exemption to sign another player. So I want to shout him out and just give him credit for making his way back, because at his peak, he was playing at an MVP level. This dude was averaging 25, 26, 27 points a game, at 5'8" or 5'7", or however, 5'9", however, size he is. So I just want to shout him out because, a lot of times guys don't get another opportunity. We saw what happened with Melo and how long he had to wait. And I'm just glad to see that he's getting another chance and getting another opportunity to play in the league. Long overdue.
So, question then: so when they bring Isaiah Thomas back, if he gets these Lakers molded in the right direction, what do they do with Westbrook? What if they go on a holy terror with Isaiah Thomas, and now they start clicking on their rhythm? What do you do when do you take him out of the equation and go back to Westbrook and hope that maybe Westbrook can continue that momentum, or what?
Yeah, I don't know how many. I don't know if he's going to get enough minutes to have that type of impact.
Right.
Because he's coming in mid-season, I think they're just going to bring him in as a jolt, to give, a little a scoring punch off the bench, because, that's the one thing that Rondo doesn't do well is score. He's the, prototypical, old school pass first point guard. He's not going to be the guy that you could, throw in a game when your offense is struggling and then you go on a 10 or 15-point run. That's what Isaiah Thomas has the ability to do. So I think he's just, they're just, seeing if they could catch lightning in a bottle and see, they could kind of turn him loose on the league and see if he could kind of get back to his old getting buckets and giving them a punch off the bench. I think that's the most that they're looking for, because at the end of the day, Westbrook's contract makes him, it would take a lot for them to even have to move him. And the fact that they gave up so much to move him, I don't even know if they have the capital to be able to make a deal. They would have to get another team involved. It'd have to be a 3-team deal, because they just don't have the assets, I believe, to be able to make a deal with Russ.
That's a good point. All right, we'll move on. We'll continue talking about these wonderful Lakers. Is Austin Reaves taking the final shot good or bad for the Lakers? I think it's good. I mean, it won in the game. I don't think it can be bad. What do you think, Ray?
So here's my thing, and I want to touch on the IT point as well. I just feel like there's so many pieces in LA that I think they're going to have a hard time figuring it out. And I think Austin Reaves hitting that shot further complicates playoff basketball for them. Like, at the end of the game, I watched that game. LeBron kept shooting big bricks, and nobody would attack the basket. AD didn't look like he wanted any parts of anything. Russ hit a fluke shot in the corner. Wayne Ellington hit a big shot in the corner, or actually on the wing.
No, it was the corner on the shot fake to tie it up.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was in the corner.
Yeah.
So I don't know who's their closing lineup. I don't believe Melo was on the court to close that game, bringing in Isaiah Thomas. Like, we've talked on this show for a while now about the rotation. I think Austin Reaves just complicated the rotation that much more when it comes to closing out games. Whose hand is the ball in? Who they designing plays for? Because there was no real plays run. It was all helter-skelter. Braun missed, and if Porzingis would have just grabbed the ball instead of fighting the other guy,
man,
like, the game's over. So I think it's great for him and his confidence. But if I'm Vogel, now the next close game, and the Lakers have played a ton of close games, if he's on the court, then who's not? Are you going to start playing him on the floor at the end of the games instead of Melo? Like, I can't imagine that'll go over well long term. Bringing in Isaiah, if Isaiah plays well, and I am rooting for him, who do you take out of the rotation? So I think adding these new people that are finding success, I think ultimately could become more problematic than it is. Yeah, it's great they beat Dallas without Luka, but it's just another body that now we got to try and figure out how to implement him. And I think that's going to be bad in terms of chemistry long term.
Yeah, absolutely. Kenny?
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't envy Frank Vogel one bit, because it's coming to the time now to where you got to make tough decisions. Like, you have to decide on a rotation and stick to it. Kind of, he's going to have to make that decision, kind of like Tibbs did, in terms of who you're taking out of the rotation, because you just can't play everybody. He's going to have to decide on a 9-man rotation. And but also, I'm going to say another thing. This also is that same issue with COVID, is that because guys are going down and you guys in and out of the lineup, that makes it even harder to be able to establish a consistent rotation, because you don't know who you're going to have night to night now. So, like, I don't, normally this will be around December. This will be around the time where coaches are making those decisions and making those choices as to who is in and out of the rotation. But now with COVID, that's going to throw rotations on its ear. And so it's just going to be almost a day-by-day thing where they're going to figure it out. And to Ray's point, that's just going to make it that much harder for them to find the chemistry, to find the closing combination that's going to be best. It's going to close out games, because you don't know who's going to be there from night to night. So I don't envy these NBA coaches one bit.
And to that point, Kenny, we started the show with Kevin Durant. They did beat a full Philadelphia Sixers team tonight. And you're speaking to people that were out of rotation, had to step up. Blake Griffin gave him 17 tonight, and he was getting DMPs.
Yeah.
So I think the flip side to the coaching piece is, as a player, you got to stay ready because on any given moment, your number can call. So you can't be sulking or pissed off. And Kemba's handled it well. We haven't heard much out of them. But there might come a time where Tibbs got to go to Kemba, especially with their record and the way they're playing, and say, "Hey,
they're playing better with Kemba on the floor than with them off the floor."
Right,
but
that's true.
But that's not totally true, because I saw a stat today, or either today or yesterday, where their record with Kemba was 10-9, and since they're taking him out of the lineup, they're 2-7. So.
That's what I'm saying. They came out of the lineup. Now they're 2-7.
They were better with him in the lineup.
They were better. No, their record with him was 10-9. Their record without him, since they've taken him out of the rotation, is 2-7. So they've gotten worse since they've taken him out of the lineup.
Yeah, so we're saying they should have kept them in.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They should have kept Kim on the damn floor.
Oh, okay, got you. Yeah. So but that's a great point, man. Is that as a pro, all these guys, everybody's got to be ready, because you don't know when your number's going to be called, and you don't know when your opportunity is going to be to shine, and you could take the ball and run with it. So everybody's going to have to stay, you're going to have to stay in shape. You're going to have to make sure you're ready to go, because you don't know when, your number's going to be called, and when your night is going to be, where you're going to have to come in and give, a good solid 20, 25 minutes to help the team out.
Absolutely. All right, so now we're looking at ranking Steph Curry's accomplishment. Ray, how do you rank that? How do you rank his accomplishment?
So for me, I think it's and I'm younger, I think, than probably you guys, but for me, it's probably one of the top 3 basketball accolades I think I've seen in my lifetime. I think of Kobe's 81 was up there. And outside of that, unless Bron passes Kareem, I can't really think of anything. And even in LeBron potentially passing Kareem, I did the math, and Curry passed Ray Allen in 6 less seasons, but he was hurt a lot earlier in his career. And so I don't know that we will ever see a record be broken in this form or fashion again. Like, that would be like Patrick Mahomes breaking the passing touchdown record in 10 seasons and Brady played 25. It would just be, it's absurd. One, where he's broken the record at this point in his career, but also where that number is going to be by the time he's done. I know people complain about there's a lot of threes shot in basketball, but you still got to be able to have the freedom to shoot them, and you got to be good enough to get up the amount that he does. Like, there's many nights he's shooting 11, 12, 15 threes by himself.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I honestly think unless he gets hurt, I think it'll be one of those records like the all-time rushing record, or one of those records that I don't know if we'll ever see broken in our lifetime, just because of the way in which he broke it, and even quote unquote the efficiency with which he did it. It was truly, truly impressive. To just.
But I wonder, Ray. I wonder if Ray Allen would have started his career at the exact same time, or if he would have came into the league the exact same time Steph Curry came into the league. Where would Ray Allen be with those 3-pointers, and how would Steph Curry be with those 3-pointers? Will we even be having a conversation about Steph, or would we be having a conversation about Ray Allen?
See, I think if Ray Allen comes in when Steph comes in, we don't talk about Ray Allen. Ray Allen didn't shoot off the dribble the way that Steph shoots off the dribble. Ray Allen didn't shoot from distance the way that Steph shot from distance. Ray and Reggie both got a lot of the threes.
The distancing really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how far you shoot the 3 ball. It's still 3 points no matter.
I'm gonna slightly disagree with you though, Ray, on that with Ray Allen, because earlier in his career, like if you look at those Milwaukee Bucks years, Ray became more of a catch and shoot guy later on in his career. But like when he was in Milwaukee, when he was in Seattle, like he was putting it on the dribble. He had handles. He was dancing on dudes and getting to the basket. Like he was more of a driver earlier in his career, and he became a shooter later on.
But
So I think that's really, and the game was different too. So I don't know if. And I don't know if it was the same, because the way the game was played, I don't think even if he came in during that time, even if he came in with Steph Curry, because of the way his game was, it transitioned to that. I don't think he still would have done it like Steph Curry would have. Steph was always a shooter.
And that's the thing. I think Ray, to your point, I reckon, and that's why I said from three. Ray could get to the basket, and his mid-range game was great. Right. But I didn't see Ray shooting step-back threes and
no. I totally agree.
Totally agree. And that's where a lot of Steph's volume comes from, is pulling up from 30 and 40, dribbling around. We've seen all the different
transition threes and all of that. They weren't doing that.
That's why I think the gap is so big. As shooter for shooter, I think they're both phenomenal shooters. But the way in which Steph can get his three off in traffic around people off the dribble, I don't think him or Reggie or really anybody, even Clay, I don't think anybody other than maybe Dame Lillard does it like Steph. And I think that's just because he was the first one to do it. So could Ray have adapted his game to become more like that? Yes, but I don't think his handle is as good as the Lillards and the Currys either. He has a handle, but it's not the same. So I think that's where the big discrepancy comes from. And so I think Ray Allen would be, and this is kind of disrespectful, but he'd be better than Kyle Korver and JJ Redick. But I think as a three-point shooter, he's more of them than he is of Steph and Dame.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, Steph is like that combination of a specialist and with a handle. Like he's kind of almost the first of his kind. You saw later on, you see other guys like a Dame, like the Kyrie. Those guys got handled and they could shoot it from deep as well. James Harden is another guy. But like, I don't think we've ever seen anyone, to Ray's point, with the efficiency. I don't know if we'll ever see anybody that shoots with the efficiency that Steph does. So this, and again, Ray nailed it. I think this is one of those records that this one will go up there with. I think it's 3 records. I'll put this in the category with 2 other records that we'll never see again. We'll never see this 3-point record. Anyone touch that because of the efficiency, not because of the volume. Because with the volume, if in today's game, because of the volume, somebody, if they play long enough, I think they could touch it or get relatively close to it. But I don't think we'll ever see that efficiency level. So it's 2 records. This. Wilt Chamberlain's 100-point game. I don't think
that's what I was waiting to see if he'd bring up.
Yeah, that we don't.
That's a record I don't think they're ever going to get.
We won't ever see anyone in Russ's record in terms of averaging triple doubles for a season. I think those are the 3 records that we'll never see broken again.
But I'll tell you this: I do think that, and I'm just saying, I think that Steph's and Russell Westbrook's records are probably more likely to get touched than that 100-point game by Wilt Chamberlain. That's just that. I mean, it's still going. It's transcended from old NBA and new NBA, and even with the 3 is
that's what I'm saying. You would have to have a guy.
Nobody's ever going to touch that.
Yeah, someone
came close at 81.
Go crazy to me. The only way anyone comes close to that is someone has to just go crazy from 3.
There may be a massive amount of
play like 40 minutes and just shoot like 33s and go like
or a whole lot of overtimes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You got to go like 20 for 45 from 3 or something like that. They have to shoot some absurd.
It'd be very absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to your point, and I didn't even mention the 100 because man, I was talking about my lifetime. But yeah, that
of course
that 100 that's not happening. I still am in awe of how we even got the 81.
Right.
I think you like said, we'll see somebody get to 50. We'll see somebody get to 60. Devin Booker got to 70, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that 100, I don't see anyone coming close to that. But no, it was just, and I think for me also, like, it happened to a great person.
Absolutely.
And so somebody that's put the work in, somebody that wasn't super highly recruited, definitely not highly recruited out of high school, but just to see him come to this, it was really great. I'm glad they stopped the game. I'm super excited that it happened in the Garden with everybody there. I thought the ceremony was really cool with the jerseys, with Reggie, with Ray there.
Yeah.
So I thought the NBA really handled it really, really well. I thought
Absolutely.
the timing was great. I just it puts into perspective, but man, I really, really hope he can stay healthy because I think that number can go somewhere.
Oh, it's gonna go higher.
He's gonna. And see, that's the thing about this record to me that makes it so was going to just put it out of orbit is because as a shooter, as long as you can play the game so much longer than you can with athleticism, because once your legs go and you don't have that lift that you had, you can't be the same guy that you were in terms.
You can always shoot the damn rock.
You could always shoot the ball, man. You could shoot the ball to we saw Ray Allen go to 37, 38. We saw Reggie Miller go to 37, 38.
It was just handled.
So he's probably got at least 3 more prime seasons in him. That's for sure. We could pretty much put that. As long as he stays healthy, he has 3 more prime seasons in him. So he could put this thing out of orbit, man. It could be like 6,000 or 7,000 by the time he's done.
That's amazing. That's crazy. That's crazy even thinking about that kind of a number.
I wanted to ask a question for y'all, and I don't think this is in the notes, but we talked about the COVID piece and something that just came to me. Is Jello? He's still on the Hornets G League, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Why didn't they call him up? Because I know they just had a bunch of people out. I feel like that would have been a great opportunity for him to come up. He wouldn't have got to play with his brother because his brother was out. But I'm curious why they didn't bring him out. And every time he keeps playing, he plays well. Like I don't completely understand why.
Well, I'll say this. I think the reason why they didn't bring him up is because they brought up the other kid, Bolt Knight from the draft, the draft pick that they made this year. So I think that's why they didn't bring him up. Because he's kind of in that same where he's a scoring guard. So I think that's why they didn't bring him up. But I understand your point. And I don't think we've seen a lot. It remains to be seen. He could be brought up with this new variant, man. We may see him at some point this year. You never know.
No.
yeah, that's actually very realistic. That's a sad thing. It's not even like a hypothesis. I mean, that could be actually very realistic. All right, 100%. Hey, so NBA top 5. NBA's top 5. Ray, I'll let you start that one off.
So my current top 5, and I'm not. I'll go in order. I can do an order. Right now, I'm going Warriors at 1. I love the culture. They do it on both ends of the ball. They do it at a high level. I think because of the record, I would still say that they have the league MVP, although Durant, what he's done in the last 2 games has made it very, very hard to look the other way. But I still would go Warriors 1. I am going to go again when I'm assuming health. I'm going to go Brooklyn 2. I think when they can get healthy, if Durant hold up because he's having to log some minutes and he's having to carry a weight, I think they're the second best team. I'm going to go with Milwaukee at 3. Nobody's talking about Milwaukee right now, but they've definitely picked it up. Giannis is putting up big numbers again. I think it's kind of the LeBron effect where we've seen him put up these numbers for so long that we just kind of not acknowledging them. But I definitely think that Milwaukee is trending in the right direction. I'm going to go Phoenix at 4. They've shown that they can win even without Devin Booker. They can shoot the lights out. They play good defense. I think a big key for them is going to be Ayton. If he continues to grow, if he continues to expand his game, I definitely think that will be a force when it comes down to it. And my 5 team, based on just what I see today, is Cleveland. I think them boys play hard. They're big on the inside. They play to their strength. They don't try and get involved in what everybody else is doing. I think they're playing really good basketball. So I think Cleveland rounds out my top 5.
All right, Kenny, what you got, brother?
I'm not mad at that. I got a slightly different list, just because I put some variables in. So I got Brooklyn number one, because of how high of a level Katie is playing at. And I don't think we've seen the best version of James Harden. And also, we don't we don't know, if the book is closed on Kyrie for this season, and if he comes back at some point. So with those variables, I got them number one. Golden State, I got number two. Same reasons in terms of variables. Uh, I think there's a potential that they may take a little bit of a step back once Clay and Wiseman come back, because they're going to have to, what we were talking about earlier is, reconfigure the rotations and reconfigure the offense and things of that nature, and try to, integrate those guys back into the lineup. So I think there might be a little adjustment period with that, that may lead to a little tail off in terms of their start. So I got them as two. I got Phoenix as three. Ray made a great point. I think DeAndre Ayton is going to is the key to them really taking that next step and getting over the hump. I think they have to feature him. They're going to have to feature him more in the offense, and make him really once he becomes that legitimate third wheel, or that legitimate third star. That's what's going to make them the team to beat in the West. So I think, Ray, you made a great point about that. So I got them three. I got Milwaukee number four. Giannis is really, he's just being Giannis, and he's also that jump shot is starting to look a lot more fluid, and he's starting to knock it down a lot more. And to God help the league if he gets that to be consistent, because you can't stop him from getting to the basket. So
no, high heels.
Yeah. So I think there's still another level that he can get to as a player, which is scary to see. So Milwaukee, I like them at four, and then at five, I thought about Cleveland, Ray, but my only concern about them is I think in the second half of the season, the league is going to start catching up to them, and they're going to kind of start figuring them out. So I'm kind of concerned about them maybe kind of hitting the wall, because as players are younger in terms of Garland and Mobley. I'm a little concerned that they might taper off in the second half. And I think that teams like the Sixers have, they can get better in Miami. I think they're going to get better in the second half. So I got Utah, only because they're consistent. That's the only reason why I got them number five. I'm still not quite a believer in them in the playoffs, because we talked about it on the last show that they need to add another piece. But because they're so consistent, and because they're still doing what they do in the regular season, and we're talking about our top five right now, so I got them five. So I got Brooklyn, Golden State, Phoenix, Milwaukee, and Utah as my top five.
Yeah, that's a nice top five. And mine is very close to yours, actually, Kenny. You're not too far off, really. Just the last one. I got Brooklyn, Golden State, Phoenix for obvious reasons. Same reasons you just mentioned. The only one, and then Milwaukee at four, and I got Cleveland at number five. I just think that center, man, is just Mobley, man, is just phenomenal. I am concerned, like you said, about them hitting a wall, but I do think that their ceiling is just a little bit better than what Utah. I think Utah's just kind of plateaued where they are. They're not really going to get any better, not any worse. I just kind of think that they're.
I just think we're talking regular season, so that's really the only reason why I got them.
Right.
Top five, because of how consistent they are, and because of what they've done over the last few years. And they do have some talent on that team. We talked about Bogdanovich and Donovan Mitchell and Jordan Clarkson, and of course the Stifle Tower does what he does. And Freddie, no, we don't have the Lakers in the top five. Of
Absolutely
course
not.
Why would we have?
I'm really surprised he didn't make an appearance. I thought that would have got his goat pretty good, but
yeah.
So my issue with Utah, and I think this is the difference between someone like Cleveland and even Chicago, who I think will be better once they get healthy.
Yeah, that's another one I thought about too.
I think we've seen Utah's best basketball. I think we've seen Gobert be the best version of Gobert. I think we've seen Donovan Mitchell be the best version of Donovan Mitchell when we saw him in the bubble. We've seen Jordan Clarkson be Jordan Clarkson, and I just don't think it's enough.
No, I don't either.
I've seen them play really all together at the same time and not get it done. So I just don't. To your point, I know we're talking about the regular season, and I thought about that too, but I just don't see them going anywhere.
Yeah, they're one of those teams that's built for the regular season more so than built for the playoffs, I think. And that's why we always have those questions. But I will say this, though, watch out for them. I don't know if you guys saw the reports that Domantas Sabonis wants to be traded from Indiana. But watch out for them being a player and getting him to Utah, because that could be a piece that could really help.
That could be a very nice piece.
That would be a really good piece that could help them,
I would say, for what it's worth, the Pacers could definitely dictate who goes to the finals, because they got 3 or 4 solid pieces on that team that they're all looking to move. So I definitely think between him, LeVert, who's the other one? Miles Turner. They got some players there that can definitely change a franchise. So I definitely think that'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Hey, I'm gonna throw a last topic in. As you know, and I'm not a Texas A&M fan, by the way, but Texas A&M so far has had the best recruiting class out there, better than Alabama, better than Georgia. How do you see this recruiting class changing the landscape of A&M? Do you see in terms of the big Power 5 schools? And Ray, I'll let you start that off.
Do I think? No. At the end of the day, I don't think this changes anything. I think it's great for them. I think it might bump them up a little bit, but in order to change the landscape of college football, it takes years of sustained success in recruiting classes. And I've seen Texas be a top recruiting class year in, year out and do little to nothing. So I definitely think it'll help, but It ain't like Alabama fell to number 10. Alabama's right there at number 2.
Yeah.
So with that being said, though, do you think though that A&M is going to see more, better recruiting classes now? Do you think this is like the beginning of, a resurgence of A&M in the recruiting game?
I think if they can transition it into title games and college football playoffs, yes. But if I'm an athlete, if I'm a high school freshman or sophomore in high school, and I watch big recruits go there and not get drafted high, not play for national championships, not play for title games, I think it'll fizzle out, and then it'll be back to business as usual. I think at some point winning has to coincide with that,
right?
Especially in the state of Texas.
Absolutely.
So I think it can be. I don't want to poo-poo it as if it's not a big deal, because it's a huge deal. I just don't think anything changes yet. We got to see them play and perform. And if they do what they should do, then I definitely think it could be a game changer for them.
All right, Kenny, what you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think it has to they have to take the next step in the next 2 years and being at CFP in order, because it has to be something that sustains. It's got to be something that's sustainable. So in order for them to do that, they have to be one of those teams that's playing in the college football playoff on a consistent basis. So, because we saw what happened with Clemson, once they made a couple of runs, then you just saw their recruiting classes start going, higher and higher, and they just, started getting more and more talent there. So, it's all about winning at the end of the day. So in order for them they have to take that next step to, they got to take advantage of this momentum and into something that's makes them a sustainable winner. But I do want to, since we're talking about recruiting, we got to shout out Dion Sanders and show him some love for flipping that, flipping it. I think it's the number 2 recruit. He flipped from Florida State to Jackson State, and that's something historic. And what he's done down there at Jackson State, I just want to give him the utmost commendations and respect and props. Because he did what he said he was going to do. He said he was going to do something that's never been done before, and that's what he's doing. They got this bowl game. Apparently, the ball game tomorrow is sold out. They said the most they've ever had at that for that game is 35,000, and the game is sold out. So this is all credit to Dion Sanders, where he's gone in and kind of reinvigorated and ignited, interest in the HBCU. So I just want to give him a salute for, job well done. Keep up the great work.
Oh, that's why they call him Prime Time. He didn't that name didn't follow overnight. He's had that for a while now. That's what Dion does. And yeah, absolutely, man. I was ecstatic when I saw him leave FSU. And I got a lot of friends that are FSU fans, and they were not happy to see that one get flipped. But hey, it is what it is. So
should have hired him.
Yeah.
They should have hired him at Florida State.
But I will say to your point, Kenny, and kind of in comparison to Texas A&M, I don't think that's done. I think we're going to start to see a lot more of that. Part of it is socially. I think the world's a little different. And I was actually watching Undisputed earlier, and it was kind of a reminder that a lot of your top talent used to come from HBCUs. The Earl Campbells, the Shannon Sharps, and a bunch of other people. So I think the sellouts, and we kind of talked about sustained success, the sellouts, the TV deals. I don't know if y'all saw Tom Brady just brought his brand he signed Dion's son to be an ambassador for his brand. For his new clothing line. So I think that awareness is something that will translate to a lot, especially in that area. So I definitely think the Texas A&Ms, the Alabamas, and Florida State was the first one to lose one, but I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of that, especially if Jackson State keeps going 11-1 and they fool around and start trying to compete for a national championship game or something like that. That definitely is going to change the ball game.
Yeah. I definitely agree. All right, hey, we're at the end of our program. Hey, Ray, Kenny, I'm gonna give you some final thoughts, and we can get out of here. What's your final thoughts, Ray?
It kind of to back to what started the show, man. I love sports. I went to school to be a sports management major. I lived through 2 years ago with sports when everything was shut down, and basketball was off, and then they came back with the bubble. I don't want to see another bubble in the NBA. I don't want to see it in any sport. I really hope and believe that they can figure this thing out. I want the best of the best playing. I don't want to see third string quarterbacks and second string running backs playing playoff games. So hopefully they can get this thing figured out. It's not good for business. It's not good to watch. So hopefully they can get this thing figured out and we can have ourselves a good holiday season of bowl games as well, because college sports can be impacted by it. So hopefully that we can turn this corner on this thing. But it's concerning, but I'm optimistic.
All right, Kenny, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just think that since we're talking about recruiting, I think that this NIL situation is going to be the great equalizer. I think that's going to kind of make the talent shift, not just with HBCUs, but, just across the country. I think that these NILs are going to be what's going to really drive recruiting going forward. Because, I think at the end of the day, we saw for many years how much money these kids, these schools were making off these kids. And now, it's shifted and it's upsetting the status quo. And I'm happy to see it, but I think it's going to now be the determining factor in terms of what, where guys go. So the bigger these NIL deals get, the more the higher profile recruits are going to start flipping and start going to, either not just HBCUs, but, it could be mid-majors. It could be, FBS schools, and I think it's going to also cause we're going to see more ex-NFL players getting hired as head coaches on the college level, because with that cachet, that's going to bring those NIL deals. So I think this thing is just getting started, and it's going to be something that's really going to be something to behold in the future, in the time to come.
Hey, Kenny, real quick, do you envision? I won't make the parallel, but do you envision them going back to the Reggie Bushes of the world, even the Chris Webbers and the Fab Fives, and revisiting some of those sanctions and things they've done now that the NIL stuff's in place?
I don't think so. Should they? I would say yes, because if all of these things were in place at that time, they wouldn't have had to do those things. But then, that would be them in the wrong. So I don't really see that happening. But should they, I would say yes.
Hey, real quick, to all the sports franchises that are out there, NBA, NFL, MLB, all that kind of craziness, if we start getting, and I hate to say this, but if we start getting watered down playoffs, I really think you should really revisit your ticket prices. And I think the ticket price should reflect the talent. I'm just gonna put that out there.
That's wishful thinking, my brother. I'm with you.
Listen, if I'm getting Johnny Jawbone and instead of like instead of Tom Brady, I want to pay Johnny Neckbone prices.
Have you bought tickets to a preseason game?
That's what I was just about to say, Ray. If they charge you full price for preseason, they definitely not changing the prices for the regular season and the playoffs.
Yeah, that's why you don't see me at the preseason games, I guess.
I heard that.
All right, man. Hey, this has been another episode of Real Talk with Ray, your boy Kenny, and your boy Jay. Freddie, as you can see, ducked out. I guess he didn't want to field no questions about the Lakers or whatever else, so we don't really care. But I'm sure we'll catch him next one around. But until then, hey, we'll catch you guys on what? Thursday. We'll catch you on Thursday. Am I right? No. Wait, what is today anyway?
No. Today Thursday. We'll catch you back on
Monday. That's right. Yeah, we won't catch you on Thursday. We'll catch you on Monday. My bad. I'm all discombobulated. COVID doesn't hit me. So I'll see y'all on Monday. We're out of here.
Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. Offensive